Mr. Woodruff, you've tested positive for HIV. We estimate you have 30 days left.
Newsflash for y'all. There ain't nothing out there can kill Ron Woodruff in 30 days.
Dallas Buyers Club is about a man named Ron Woodruff who has just been diagnosed with AIDS. He's extremely homophobic, so when he hears of this, he's baffled and ultimately gets fired from his job by his homophobic coworkers. The doctors tell him that he has 30 days to live, but he refuses to give up hope. He immediately begins research on medications that are tested on AIDS patients and goes to extreme lengths to obtain them. After taking the only FDA-approved medication for AIDS at the time, he realizes that it is making him worse. He then decides that he needs to go to Mexico to get another form of medication, despite not being approved in the States. Once he begins taking these medications, his health improves and realizes that he can make a fortune selling them to AIDS patients back home. So he begins selling them out of a hotel room with an unlikely partner, a transgender woman named Rayon. He begins getting these drugs from numerous countries, and his client list grows to a great number. The FDA disapproved of his actions and ultimately oppressed his research. According to the philosopher Frankl, life ultimately means taking the responsibility to find the right answer to its problems and to fulfill the tasks which it constantly sets for each individual. This message relates to the way that Ron handled his problems after he was diagnosed. Instead of dwelling in sadness, he decided to take matters into his own hands and travel the world to get the right meds. This was ultimately a success as he turned 30 days into 7 years. According to the philosophy PDF, a doppelganger is a double or second self. An important literary form employing the doppelganger motif is the psychomachia, originated by the Greek poet Prudentius to depict conflict within the soul, or the struggle between virtue and vice within an individual. In the film, Ron's doppelganger is Rayon. At first, Ron dislikes Rayon as she is a transgender woman which goes against his values, though Ron agrees to team up with her for the purpose of financial gain. In the beginning, he would constantly criticize Rayon and they would bicker frequently, but in reality they were very similar. Both of them were drug addicts who had AIDS and were desperately trying to extend the length of their lives. Over time, they form a close relationship, and Ron even stood up for her once in a public setting when she was treated poorly. It is clear throughout the film that even though they have exterior differences, they are very much the same on the inside and are driven by the same things. This film sends an important message that even when life knocks you down, you need to get up and persevere through the difficult times. Up until Ron died, he never gave up, and had he given up, his life would have ended within the 30 days the doctors told him he had left. The bull is a metaphor in the film for this message. Even though you will always be thrown off the bull, it doesn't mean that you have to give up and never ride again.